This is one of the most recognizable characters in video game history, but where has he been for the last decade? This is the puzzling saga of the rise and fall of the Backyard Sports franchise. And the story actually starts with a couple of other nostalgia-inducing games. Humongous Entertainment broke into the kids' gaming scene in the early 90s with titles like Putt Putt, Freddy Fish, and Pajama Sam. And the success of those games gave the team the flexibility to branch out into sports. And even though members of the team had wanted to make a sports game for a few years, it took the energy of the nearby Seattle Mariners reaching their first ever postseason in 1995 for the studio founder to finally give the green light, and thus was born the original Backyard Baseball game in 1997. The game was an instant hit, fueled by its simple mechanics and creative power-ups, but most importantly, its relatable and endearing cast of fictional characters. The franchise exploded over the next 5 years, as they added sports like soccer, football, and basketball, and bolstered the experience with childhood personas of real professional athletes, like Barry Sanders, Alex Rodriguez, and Vlad Guerrero, to name a few. But during that same period of growth, ownership of Humongous Entertainment actually changed hands a few times, and the business was becoming increasingly unstable. By the year 2000, the original founders planned to step back in and buy Humongous back from its then owner Infogrames. But as the dot-com bubble crashed, their funding fell through, and the founders eventually left the business altogether as nearly half the staff was laid off. And to make matters worse, the mid-2000s saw kids graduate from playing games on desktop computers to consoles, and the studio struggled to make the jump. They made a few attempts at console versions, but sort of lost the soul of the games along the way. And the real nail in the coffin came in 2013 when the parent company entered into bankruptcy proceedings. Humongous was sold off to a game developer, while the Backyard Sports IP was actually sold separately to a private equity firm who was set on bringing the franchise to the modern market with a focus on mobile gaming. In 2015, that group released 2 games onto mobile app stores with little fanfare and with no follow-up. And just a year later, they were bought out themselves by an unnamed European investment group. And that is sadly where it ends. While there have been rumors of new games and even movies, the intellectual rights have been sitting idle on a metaphorical shelf collecting dust for the last 7 years. All while a generation who grew up with Pablo Sanchez and Keisha Phillips are now old enough to have their own kids that they would love to play these games with. So whoever that group is, they're missing a golden opportunity here.